Financial accounting. We have discussed chapter 5, 6, 7 in previous classes. Today we're gonna discuss about some MCQs relating to those chapters, the practice, and then we will move towards chapter 8. So MCQs we have covered, I think so till 50 we have covered. Till 50 we have covered.
50. Yes, sir. I think we have covered the 50th one.
Yeah, moving towards 51. An invoice is best defined by which of the following statements? An invoice is raised by a business and confirms only the amount due to be paid for goods and services provided. An amount is raised by a business and confirm only the amount due to be paid for goods and services provided. An invoice is raised by business and issued to supplier as a recognition of goods and services received from that supplier. No, this is not the invoice. An invoice is raised by a business and issued to customer to confirm amounts not yet paid. No, it's not for confirmation. An invoice is raised by a business and issued to a customer to request a payment for goods and services provided. So it is a request for
D
payments
option.
provided. 52. Are each of the following statements above about the accounting equation true or false? Accounting equation: assets is equal to equity plus liabilities. Business assets will always equal business liability. Business
Yes.
assets will always equal business liabilities. No, will
That's
equal to business liability plus equity. It's false.
Oh, okay. And liability
Business
plus
assets will
capital.
always exceed business liabilities.
Business assets will
If there is no
yeah.
equity, they must not be exceeded liabilities. They could be
Business
equal
assets
to
will
liabilities,
always.
but
Yes,
not
so they can
always.
be equal to liabilities.
Business assets include proprietor's capital.
Proprietor's capital. No, sir.
No, it's equity as well as liability.
Yes, sir.
Business liabilities include proprietor's capital.
Yes, sir.
No, liabilities are separate. Proprietor capitals is equity.
Okay. So capitals should include proprietor's capital. Okay.
All false.
Yes, sir.
The journal record all bank and cash transactions. The cash book record cash and bank transactions.
So cash book. So it's false.
The journal record all accounting transactions.
Journal, no, sir.
No. The journal is a book of prime entry.
No, sir.
There were 7 books of prime entry. What were those 7 books of prime entries? Sale day book, sale return day book, purchase day book, purchase return day book, cash book, petty cash book, and the journal.
Yes, sir. Journal was in the last.
It's true.
Oh,
okay. The journal record all credit sale transactions.
No, sir.
No,
That's false.
Sale transaction should be recorded in sale.
Sale, yes, sir.
It's false. 54. During the year, Jiva made the following accounting entries to account for the depreciation charge relating to motor vehicle. Debit accumulated depreciation motor vehicle for 5,000 and credit depreciation expense motor vehicle 5,000. What is the entry for depreciation?
Depreciation debit to.
The entry should be debit depreciation expense
to accumulated depreciation.
And credit should be accumulated depreciation. No. But they have charged debit accumulated depreciation and credit depreciation expense mean wrong entry, reverse entry. Okay. What journal entry is required to account correctly for the depreciation charge for motor vehicle for the year?
Sir, it's
if they have charged wrongly, instead of 5,000, they have charged wrongly 5,000. So we need to make the corrected entry with 10,000.
So it will be option B.
Yeah, option B, because with the 5,000, the corrected entry will be stated, and with
Yes,
the,
sir.
5,000, this wrong reversal will be eliminated.
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Uh, yes, sir.
55. During the year, Roshan made the following accounting entries to account for the increase in the allowance for the receivable. Debit trade receivable control account and credit allowances for receivable. Leave this because we're gonna learn about the bad debts in future. So leave these MCQs until we cover the chapter on receivable.
Okay.
56. During the year, Ali made the following accounting entries to account for the cash proceed received upon disposal of an item of machinery. Mean company have sold the machinery, and against
Okay.
that, company has received the cash. And they made the entry debit bank, credit sales revenue. Is
Okay.
that they sold the inventory or asset?
What, sir?
Whether they sold inventory or asset.
Sir, they sold inventory because it sales revenue.
They sold asset. If companies sell inventory, then cash debit sales credit. If you are selling asset, then cash debit asset should be credit.
Sir, I didn't understand. Can you repeat? I
If
got
you are
confused.
selling inventory or purchasing inventory, then you can use word purchase or sale.
Okay.
But in case you are purchasing asset or selling asset, then you cannot use word purchase or sale. Then you should use word asset debit in case of purchase or asset credit in case of sales.
But sir, here is in this the sales is credited, so it is.
They sold the asset. What's the statement? During the year, Ali made the following accounting entries to account for the cash proceed, mean cash received
They
upon
sold machinery.
disposal of an item of machinery. What is machinery? Is that asset
It's
or
an
inventory?
it's okay. I thought you were asking about credit sales revenue, that second
No, no.
transaction. I
They
thought you were
disposed,
asking.
they sold machinery asset,
Yes, sir.
non-current asset.
In the question, it's then asset. Machinery is an asset, obviously. Yes, sir.
Yeah, then the entry should be bank or cash debit and
Yes, sir.
asset credit rather than sales. Mean
Yes, sir.
machinery should be credit.
So it will be
They made the wrong entry. Here,
yes, sir.
this is fine, but this is wrong.
Yes, sir.
You know, this means this wrong we can eliminate how? By debiting the same,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
by debiting the same,
Yes, sir.
and the credit should be instead
Uh,
of say
say
machinery
it should be so it's option D.
option.
Option D, I
Yeah,
think.
option D,
Option D.
sale should be debit by eliminating this credit, and
Yes,
what
sir.
should be the credit amount, the disposal of machinery by
So
25.
we have to rectify the error first and then solve the
Exactly.
option. Okay.
This means they have made this entry. So if we make a sale debit and a machinery credit, so this sale will be cancelled with this sale, 2,500 debit credit, and the correct entry will be debit bank and credit machinery with 2,500.
Yes, sir.
27. Parul is unsure of the accounting entries required to account for a contra between the receivable ledger control and payable ledger control account for 1250. What journal entry is required to account correctly for a contra between the trade receivable and trade payable ledger control account? Contra mean they have wrongly recorded the receivable to payable or payable to receivable.
Okay.
So what accounting entry should be required to correct this?
Uh,
Debit trade payables with the 1250 and credit trade receivable ledger control account with the 1250. Yes, there is issue with their control account. So what's the correct contra entry?
Okay.
Is that fine? It's relating to
Yes, sir.
both control account, receivable ledger control account and payable ledger control account. So how we can correct debit trade payable ledger control account and credit trade receivable ledger control account. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
58. What journal entry is required to correctly account for the depreciation charge for the year of 3500 relating to building? Can you
Uh,
identify the depreciation expense debit, accumulated
ye-
depreciation credit
yes, sir.
with the amount of 3500? What's the correct option?
Sir, it's option debit. Sir, it's option C.
Yeah, option C. 59. What are the accounting entries required to account for settlement discount received of 250 from a credit supplier? So you received a settlement discount from a supplier. The supplier, if you are paying to supplier, your cash and bank should be credit
Yes, sir.
and
Because money is
supplier
going
should be debit,
debit.
and the discount received should be credit as a income,
Yes, sir.
because the entry should be supplier debit to eliminate its balance, and in credit we will say cash that we have paid, and in credit we will say discount income. So what could be the entry? Debit
Uh,
discount received? No. Debit
no,
trade
sir.
payables 250 and credit discount received 250.
Yes, sir. I think this is the one.
This one, the B.
Yes, sir.
Perry made the following accounting entries to account for the purchase of goods on credit from a supplier. Debit trade payables ledger account credit purchases. Is that entry correct or wrong?
Debit trade purchase. Uh, that's wrong, sir.
Wrong
I think
entry.
so.
Entry should be debit purchases and credit trade
Trade
payables.
payables.
What journal entry is required to account correctly for the purchase of the goods on account for a supplier? What could be the correct entry?
So first we have to rectify. So debit purchases.
Yeah, this means with the double amount, we have to reverse the
Yes,
entry.
sir. So with double amount, option D is the only option with double amount.
Option
So
D.
option D.
61. Tao used the following balance to prepare the financial statement as at 30th April 20x3. Receivable 6,000, bank loan 3,000, bank overdraft 2,500, drawing 4,100, capital at start of the year were 12,500, purchases and revenue are this, rent 5,400, bank interest 825, heating and light 4,475, mean these amounts are of debit nature and these amounts are of credit nature. And this is called a trial balance, where we record all the item, and debit nature item should be recorded on the debit side and credit nature item should be recorded on the credit side. Receivables, asset having debit nature, bank loan, liability having credit nature, bank overdraft, liability having credit nature, drawing that should be excluded from the capital. That's why it is having debit balance like expense. Capital is of credit nature, purchases debit nature, and revenue means sales credit nature. Rent debit nature, bank interest expense debit nature, heat and light expense debit nature. The business does not hold inventory, no further adjustments were required. What was Tao's closing capital as at 30th April 20x3? You need to find the closing capital as at 30th April 20x3. How we can find the closing capital? The
Sir,
opening capital is
yes.
12,500.
Yes, sir.
If we add profit to the 12,500 and deduct drawings from 12,500, we can arrive at closing a capital.
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
But to add profit, first we need to calculate the profit. How profit can be calculated? Sales.
Uh,
What's the sale amount?
so the sales
22,000.
amount.
Less
20.
cost of sale. In cost of sale, we are having opening inventory. No. Is there purchases? Yes.
Yes,
What's the
sir.
amount of purchases?
19,250,
19,200.
19,200.
So is there closing inventory? No. This
No,
means
sir.
this 19,200 will be deducted from sale. We will arrive at a GP, gross profit. How much is the gross profit?
So gross profit will
2,800.
be. Yes, sir.
Less other expenses. What are the expenses we are having? We
Uh,
can deduct rent. How much is
so
that?
5,400.
5,400. We should deduct bank interest. 825. We should deduct heat and light.
Yes, sir.
4,475. Is that? If we deduct
Double
these
four.
amounts from gross profit, we will arrive at profit or loss. I think there is a loss. Can you calculate how much is the loss?
Yes, sir.
How much is the loss?
Sir, the loss is minus 7,900.
How much?
Minus 7,900.
7,900 is the loss.
Yes, sir.
So what's the opening capital?
Opening capital was 12,500.
12,500. If we deduct drawing from the opening capital that owner withdraw from the business, what are those? 4,100. And the loss, if there is profit, we will add. If there is a loss, we will
We will
deduct
deduct.
7,900. So what's the closing capital?
So it's 500.
500.
So 500 is the closing capital.
This is the answer.
Yes, sir.
Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
When he asked about closing capital figure, and capital opening plus profit less drawing is equal to closing capital. So as there is no profit, there is loss, so we will deduct. If there is profit, we will add. But drawing should be deducted from the opening capital to arrive at closing capital.
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
62. Indicate whether each of the following item is a book of prime entry. Sale day book is a book of prime
Yes,
entry.
sir. It's a book of prime
Yes.
entry.
Trial balance.
No, sir.
No. Journal.
No, yes, sir. Journal is a book of prime entry.
Account receivable ledger.
No, sir. It was not.
63. The petty cash balance at 30th November 20x9 was 25. The following transaction occurred during November 20x9. Refreshments were purchased at a cost of 7.25. Travel expense of 12.75 were reimbursed to an employee. The cleaner was paid 15. What was the petty cash float at 1st November?
Petty cash float. So we will
You
add
need
all
to
of
identify
these.
the opening balance.
Opening is 25.
So during the month, what you have paid 725, you have paid 1275. Altogether, it will become 30 plus 20 and
Yes,
15.
20.
Altogether, this
35.
will become 35. Ending balance is a 25. So what could be the
60.
opening balance? 60. You know,
Yes, sir.
in at the month, the petty
Yes,
cash
sir.
clerk is having 60. Out of this 60, they have paid 35 expenses and the
So
remaining balance is 25
20.
at the month end.
Yes, sir.
64. Which of the following explain the impressed system of operating petty cash? Weekly expenditure cannot exceed a set amount.
Weekly expenditure.
The exact
No, sir.
amount of expenditure is reimbursed at intervals to maintain a fixed float.
Yes, I think this is.
This is
uh,
most appropriate. What
Yes,
about
sir.
C? All expenditure out of the petty cash must be properly authorized.
No, sir. Petty
No.
cash book must be not.
Regular equal amount of cash are transferred into petty cash at intervals.
No, sir. So option
Option
B
B.
only. Yes, sir.
65. You are given the following figures for sale and receivables. 20x6, 20x7 receivable at year end. Sales for the 20x7. Total cash received from customer. Specific allowance of our receivable. Irrecoverable debts written off. What was the value of sale return during the 20x7? Mean you need to open a receivable ledger here. What is the opening balance? Opening balance
It's 69,472.
69,472. What's the closing balance?
Sir, it's 74,963.
74,963. What's the entry of sale? Receivable
Interest.
debit sales credit.
Yes, sir. So it will be debited
This
in
means this
this.
sale should be on the debit side.
Yes, sir.
Because receivable debit 697,104.
Yes,
If
sir.
you pay to the customer, if you receive cash from the customer, what's the entry?
Uh, yeah, what, sir?
Cash debit receivable credit.
Yes, sir.
This means this cash receipt should be on credit side of receivable ledger. How much? 686,912.
Okay, yes, sir.
Specific allowance for receivable and irrecoverable debt written off.
Sir,
For specific allowance for receivable, we don't record in receivable, but irrecoverable debt written off, we record in receivable. This means receivable has been eliminated. Mean eliminated, if it is asset, we can eliminate by crediting it.
yes, sir. Irrecoverable debts.
Irrecoverable debt. Now, can you balance the ledger and check if there is any figure on any side?
Yes, sir.
What could be that figure?
Sir, the left side amount is higher.
Left side is higher.
Yes, sir. It's 766576.
What's the balancing figure?
Sir, the balancing figure, yes, sir. So balancing figure is
686,912. 686,912 plus
sir 3004.
1697 plus 746,963
Yes, sir.
is equal to 763,572. This side total is 763,572. What
Yes,
about the
sir.
other side total?
So 766576. So after subtracting
Minus 69472
766, yeah,
minus
3004.
697,104. So there is a 3004 balance
Oh,
here.
yes, sir. 3004.
3004 balance here. What's the entry of sale return?
The entry of sale return.
Yeah,
Sir, debit sales return.
credit receivables.
Uh,
So
yes, sir.
this is a sale return. How much?
3004.
3004. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Because sales return should be recorded on the credit side of receivable ledger.
Yes, sir.
Because sale return debit and receivable credit.
Yes, sir. So it will be in the credit side.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
66. Lee operates the impressed system for petty cash. At 1st July, there was a float of 150. But it was decided to increase this to 200 from 31st July onward. During July, the petty cashier received 25 from staff for using photocopier, and a check for 90 was cashed for an employee in July. Checks were drawn for 500 for petty cash. How much cash was paid out as cash expense by the petty cashier in July? How much cash was paid out as cash expense by the petty cashier in July? So on 1st July, there was a float of 150,
Yes, sir. So 150 will be
but
added.
it was decided to increase this to 200 from 31st July onward.
Okay.
So during July, the petty cashier received 25
Yes, sir.
and a check of 90 was cashed for an employee payment,
Payment. So it will be minus.
and check were drawn for 500 for petty cash.
So it will be added.
It will be added. What could be the petty cash expense in the July?
Sir, in the July, the opening balance will be 150 and will the closing
Yeah,
be
there was
200?
150 opening balance.
Yes, sir. Sir,
There was 150 opening balance.
yes, sir. So closing will be 200, the closing balance.
Yeah, closing should be 200. What was the expense?
Oh, the expense, 90.
90
Uh,
expense. They
if
issued a
we
check of 500. They issued a
uh,
check for 500.
so 580,
They issued a check for 500.
so it will be added. Yes, I did that.
Hmm.
So the total is coming out as 585, but like after the closing balance is 200, 580. Sir,
This was a 175 they
yes,
are
sir.
having during the month at start 150, and then they received 25 from
Yes, sir.
staff for the use of photocopier, mean they charge for the use of photocopier,
Yes, sir. And after this,
and then they
90
made
was
expense of 90,
so 85 remaining
remaining 85.
and add 500.
So remaining 85.
80 and add 500, so
They
585.
received check for 500 and the closing
Yes,
balance
sir.
should be 200. So what's the difference between these
Uh,
two figures? 300.
3, yes, sir.
This means this 300 was also expense.
Yes, so 385,
So the expense should be
385.
385.
Okay.
The expense should be
385.
385 because they receive a check of 500 to maintain a balance of 200. This means 300 was extra. What's that for?
Yes, sir.
The extra expense during the month of July. You know,
Yes, sir.
is that fine?
Oh, yes, sir.
67. Which of the following might explain a debit balance on a payable ledger account?
Debit balance on a payable ledger
A
account.
business took a settlement discount to which it was not entitled and paid less than the amount due. The business
Uh,
mistakenly paid an invoice twice. The bookkeeper failed to enter a contra with the receivable ledger. The bookkeeper failed to post a check paid on account. How payable ledger balance can be debit? Normally payable ledger balance is credit. But how it become debit? If you paid them double payment, then the payable ledger balance will be credit. Like if you owe 100 to them, but you made 200 payment.
Yes, so 100 will be.
So 100 will be cancelled with 100 and the remaining 100
So
will
option
be
B.
the of debit balance. Option B,
Yes, sir.
68. Rahi's payable ledger control account has a balance at 1st October 20x8 of 34,500 credit. Mean opening balance is
Oh, yes, sir.
34,500. During October, credit purchases were 78,400. What's the entry of credit purchases? Purchases debit payable credit
Yeah, yes, sir.
with 78,400 purchases. This is the opening balance. Cash purchases were 2,400 and payment made to supplier, excluding cash purchases. And after deducting settlement discount of 1,200 was 68,900. So we made payment to supplier. How much? 68,900. So 68,900 cash, credit, supplier debit. Purchase return was 4,700. What's the entry of purchase return?
Entry of purchase return, sir. Credit purchase return and
Debit supplier.
yes, sir. Debit supplier and credit
With
change
how much
return.
amount? 4,700.
Yes, sir, 4,700.
What was the closing balance of this ledger? Can you calculate closing balance?
Yes, sir. So the total of right side is 112,900 minus.
What's the entry of this?
Uh,
You make
yes.
payment by deducting settlement discount. This means the supplier ledger should be debit with the both amount in it. Because
So
you made entry
1,200
supplier
will be
debit
debited.
and discount received mean discount income credit and cash credit. So supplier should be debit with both these amount in it. So
Oh, yeah.
instead of 68,900, we should write 1,200 here as a discount.
Okay.
And this is cash. And this is purchase return.
Yes, sir.
Because we make entry what supplier with the full amount debit and credit should be cash and credit should be discount received. How much is discount received? 1,200.
Yes,
How
sir.
much cash we have paid? 68,900. So what will be the total?
Yes, so it will
By
be a total of
adding both these.
69,700.
What's that?
69,700.
69,700.
Yes, so
So now calculate the balance.
38,100.
38,100. The closing balance will come here.
Yes, sir. Balance, see. Yes, sir.
38. 100.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the
Closing balance.
entries in our receivable ledger control account for the first accounting period were sales, bank, returns, irrecoverable debts, returns unpaid check, contra payable ledger account. What is the balance on receivable control account at the end of accounting period? So we need to open receivable account. If we open our receivable account here, the entry of sale is receivable debit, sales credit.
Yes, sir.
So sales 250,000. Bank mean cash received from customer. So cash or bank debit and receivable credit to 25,000. Return sale return debit receivable credit.
Uh, s- Sale return debit receive.
Sale return debit receivable credit.
Uh,
Irrecoverable debt we record on the credit side 3,000. Returned unpaid check. Returned
ret-
unpaid check.
Returned unpaid check.
This means the customer paid us check, but that check has not been cashed by the bank. So we
Okay.
return to the supplier. When he paid the amount, we debit bank credit receivables. And when it is not cash, we will reverse the entry. Credit bank and debit receivables. With how much amount? 3,500.
Yes,
And
sir.
contra payable ledger account 4,000. What's the contra entry? Payable ledger debit, receivable credit.
So it will be in the credit side.
Now check what's the balance on the receivable ledger control account at the end
Yes,
of
sir.
accounting period.
So balance
What's the
total is
balance?
500. 253 500 minus 25. Sir, and 19,000 is the balance.
19,000?
Yes, sir.
This side?
Yes, sir, in the right side, the credit side.
So this is your answer. 19,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
This is the complete receivable ledger at its peak. There is nothing left.
Okay.
Number 70. In which book of prime entry would a business record the part exchange value received for a vehicle traded in when purchasing a new vehicle? In sale day book,
No, sir, the
in
journal.
cash payment book,
No, sir.
the journal, the
Sir, the
non-current
journal.
asset register.
It's not a D option is not. So of the three options, it's journal.
The journal. Exactly. We record accounting entries relating to asset in journal. 71. Mahal wrongly paid Nathan 250 twice for goods purchased on credit. So we made double payment to the supplier. Nathan subsequently reimbursed Mahal for the overpayment of 250. How should Mahal account for the reimbursement received from Nathan? What you have received cash, cash debit, where you have received from supplier, his account name is payable.
Yes. So the option D.
Really simple. Because it's not relating to sale, it's not
Yes, sir.
discount, it's not relating to receivables, it's relating to supplier. Who is supplier? Payable. 72. What are the accounting entries required to record a sale on credit of 10,000 on which a sales tax is applied at a rate of 20%? what should be the accounting entry? If sale amount is 10,000, sale tax is 20%, 20% be 2,000. So we will receive all from the receivable, credit sale, receivable debit, credit sales, as well as credit tax. So sale is 10,000, tax is 20%, 2,000. So receivable should be debit with the complete amount. Because we receive from customer the sale amount as well as tax that we
So
will pay to
option
the
A.
government on behalf of customer. So
Yes,
what's the
option
accounting
A.
entry?
Option A.
Okay. Enough.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because 10,000 is a sale amount and 20% tax we need to charge on it. 73. What are the accounting entries required to record the purchase of goods for resale on credit with a gross invoice value of 1541, which includes a sale tax at the rate of 15%. The business is registered to account for sale tax. So 15% is the tax which is
Tax.
included in 1541. How we can
Okay.
calculate tax amount?
Sir, tax amount.
If 1541 is the amount
Yes, sir.
including, so rate divided by 100 plus
Rate plus, yes, sir, 115.
What's the
Sir,
tax
sir,
amount?
201.
201.
So
So what could be the accounting entry? You have purchase
yes,
goods. So purchases debit
sales tax debit.
and tax debit. What should be the credit? Payable.
Yes, sir. Payables
Payable
with
with the complete amount
1541.
1541. This one with the 201. And what's the difference between 1541 and 201?
31340.
1340. So what's the entry?
Sir, the option B.
B. Is that fine?
Oh, yes, sir.
Includes sale tax. Inclusive. Which of the following best describe the purpose of purchase invoice? The purpose of purchase invoice. It is issued by a supplier as a request for payment. Obviously,
Yes, sir.
supplier will issue to us as a request for payment. It is sent to supplier as a request for payment. No, we don't
No,
send
sir.
purchase invoice. We send sale invoice to customer.
It is issued, yes, sir.
It is issued by supplier listing detail of recent transactions.
No, sir, it does
No,
not.
that is supplier statement, not
Yes, sir.
invoice. It is sent to the supplier as a notification of
No,
payment.
sir. No, sir.
No, we don't send a notification of payment to supplier. We
So option
gonna
A.
pay to the supplier. So it is A.
Option A. Yes, sir.
In which book of prime entry would discount received be recorded? Discount received should be recorded where?
Sir,
Cash receipt book,
no, sir.
cash payment book,
This,
sale day book, purchase day book.
sir, it's not C or D, and it's not. So it's B, sir.
B, obviously. While paying cash, we will receive discount.
Yes, sir.
76. Sarin uses the impressed method of accounting for petty cash. Sarin counted the petty cash and there were 66 in hand. There were also the following petty cash vouchers: sundry purchases of 22, loan to sale manager of 10, purchase of staff drinks for 19, sundry sale receipt of 47. What is the Sarin's interest amount?
So it's interest amount. It will be
Interest amount being float.
yes, sir. Total of.
So he's having 66 in his hand. These are the expenses. Sundry purchases, loan to sale manager, purchase of staff drink,
So
and
indeed, I have to
sundry
keep is
sale
in
receipt.
negative. Yes, sir.
So 22 plus
Sir, it's 70
19 is 39. 39 plus 10, 49.
and 49.
Is that 49? No.
Sir, it's the balance is 70 because we will after we will add all four and minus sundry sales receipt. It will come
It's
$70.
on 70, yes. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 77. Phoenix is registered for sale tax. During May, Phoenix sold goods with a list price of 600, excluding sale tax. So 600, excluding the sale tax. This means we should multiply by rate over 100 to calculate tax. Sale tax to Yan on credit. As Yan was buying a large quantity of goods, Phoenix deducted a trade discount of 5% of the normal list price. If sale tax is charged at 15%, what will be the gross value of the sales invoice prepared by Phoenix? So first calculate what's the tax rate is 15%. So what's 15% of for 600?
15% of 600 is
90. And there is a 5%
so shouldn't it be
trade
5?
discount. What's the 5% of 600?
Sir, it's
30.
30. Yes,
So
sir.
what would be the invoice?
570 and
First, we need to deduct a trade discount and then we should charge tax. Yeah?
so we should not add 90. We should so 15% will be of 570.
First, we need to deduct the discount of 5%. What's the
Sir,
5%
30,
of
so
600?
600.
It's
Yes, sir.
30.
570. So remaining
Yes, remaining will be 570.
and 15% of this amount only we will.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So now check what's the tax amount.
Of 570, 15%.
15% of 570, what's
Sir, it's 85.
85?
Yes,
Have
sir. And
something 0.5 something.
85.5. Yes, sir. 85.5.
85.5. So if
And
we calculate
655.5.
tax, it will become 85.5. So 570 plus
So
85.5.
655,
The invoice
655.5.
charge to the customer should be
655.5.
655.50.
Yes, sir.
Enough.
Yes, sir.
At 1st December 2025, Lorry of the sale tax authorities 23778. If we open tax account, here we record the opening balance, here we record the output tax, this side we record the input tax. So Lorry owed to sales tax authority mean there was a balance of 23,778 owed, mean liability, credit balance. During the month of December, Lorry recorded the following transactions: sales of 800,000 exclusive of 17.5% tax. This is output tax. So 800,000 into how much is the tax rate? 17.5 over
Yeah,
100. So what's the output tax?
7.5 will be in the denominator.
How much is output tax?
Uh, yes.
800,000 into 17.5 over 100.
So it's for 140,000.
140,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Purchases of 590, 790 inclusive of sale tax. So purchases are how much? 590,790 inclusive of sales tax. So
Uh,
17.5
upon 1
divided
month
by 100 and
7.5.
17.5.
So it's
What's the input tax?
so 87,990.
87,990.
990.
So 87 and 990 will be our input tax. So what's the balance here? Closing
So the
balance.
balance will be in the left side and it will be 75 uh, 75,000 788.
75,788. 75,788 is the balance.
Oh yes
Is it
sir.
fine?
Oh yes sir.
Opening is on this side, the closing will be on this side. So
Yes
tax
sir.
account will be open. Output tax should be on credit side because we need to pay to the tax authorities. It's our liability. And input tax should be on debit side. Mean this we're gonna receive from the tax authority. Mean this is our asset. 79. 79.
Yes sir.
If sales excluding sales tax amounted to 27,612.50 and purchases excluding sales tax amounting to 18,000, what would be the balance on sales tax account, assuming all transactions are subject to sales tax at 17.5%? So output tax minus input tax. So output, how we can calculate output? 27,612.50 at its including sales tax. So 17.5 over 100 and 17.5. What is output tax?
So the output tax is 77. Sir, it's 4,112.5.
4,012.5.
4,112.5.
So input tax is 18,000 into 17.5 over 100.
Sir, it's 3,150. 3,150.
3,150. So what's the amount they're gonna pay?
Hello.
Yeah, what's the amount?
Yes, sir. Actually, I got disconnected. Sir, they will pay. Balance will be 962.5.
962.5.
Yes, sir.
So 962.5 is the answer.
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
In the quarter ended 31st March 2022, Charlie had taxable sales net of sales tax 90,000 and taxable purchases net of sales tax of 72,000. If the rate of sales tax is 10%, how much sales tax is payable to the tax authorities by Charlie?
Yes, sir. It will be
So 10% of 9,000 will
yes,
be
sir. It will be 9.
90,000, 9,000 and 7,200. So what's the difference?
Sir, it's
1,800.
1,800.
Payable or receivable? This is
What, sir?
output
Pay
and
tax
this is
payable.
input. So payable,
Yes, sir. Payable.
we need to pay to the tax authority.
Yes, sir.
See option.
Option C.
MCQ number 81. A summary of the transaction of a Ramsgate company, which is registered to account for sales tax at 17.5% of all transactions, shows the following for the month of August 20X9. Output tax 60,000 exclusive of tax. So 60,000 exclusive of tax, 17.5 over 100. and input tax 40286 inclusive of tax, so 17.5 over 107.5. Can you calculate output or input tax for me?
Yes, sir. Exclusive of tax 10,000.
60,000 into 17.5 by 100,
Sir, I've got the values.
10,500 into
10,500 and
power
6,000.
40286 into 17.5 divided by 117.5 is 6,000.
Yes, sir. So in this
And the
uh
opening
s-
balance was 3,400. They have a paid 2,600 during the year.
so it will
So
be
if we
paid
open
from
the account, opening balance will be
yes,
3,400,
sir.
output tax will be 10,500, input tax will be 6,000. They
Bank
have paid how much? 2,600.
2,600.
So what's the closing
Sir,
balance?
5,300.
5,300.
5,300. And the total is 13,900.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
82. Which of the following statement best explain the sales account of a business which is registered to account for sales tax? It is created with the total of sale made including the sales tax. It is
No, sir.
credited with the total of sale made excluding sales tax, because we charge the tax and sale both figure to the customer. I mean, what entry we record? Debit receivable. Suppose if the sale is 100 and the tax is a 10% with 110, and credit we record to sales how much? 100, and credit we record to tax how much? 10. This entry we made. So which of the
Yeah,
following statement best explain the sales account?
sir,
Talking
it's
about this only.
P.
Which registered to account for sales tax, it credited with the total of sale made including sales tax or excluding sales tax?
No, sir, excluding sales
Excluding
tax.
sales tax, obviously. It's not having anything with the purchase or expenses.
Yes, sir.
You know, 83. A business sold goods that had a net value of 600 to Lahari. What entries are required by the seller to record this transaction if sale tax is applied at 17.5%? What entry?
Oh,
Sale amount is
17.5%.
600. You need to
Yes, sir.
calculate tax at 17.5%. 600 into 17.5%.
Sir, it's option B.
105 is the tax amount. Yes, we
Yes, sir.
will charge tax as well as sale amount both to the customer.
Yes, sir.
84. Later, a customer returned goods to streamer that had a net value of 200. What entry are required by steamer to record this transaction if transactions are subject to sales tax is payable at 17.5%? So he returned goods of 200, net value 200, and the sale
Uh,
tax is 17.5%. This means the sale we recorded amount excluding tax. So say return amount should also be excluding tax. Mean this entry should be reversed. Mean say return debit. Say return debit. What else?
Tax will be.
Tax should also be debit.
Yes, sir.
And credit should be receivable mean customer.
Option A.
Option A, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Because we record sale excluding tax, so sale return figure should be excluding tax. So 200 is excluding tax. So what's the tax amount on it? We need to calculate. And the receivable ledger should be credited with the full amount.
Yes, sir.
85. 85. Star company, which is registered to account for sales tax, purchased furniture on credit at a cost of 8,000 plus tax of 1,200. What are the correct accounting entries to record this transaction, purchases? How we can record transaction?
Um,
To supplier, we will pay the full amount, including tax. So supplier should be credit with the
Yes, sir.
full amount. So debit should be tax.
The tax and
As
the
well as
asset
debit should be
furniture.
purchases are what we have purchased.
Furniture. The furniture we
Furnitures,
purchase.
you can say furniture.
So option
Furniture
C.
amount is 8,000, tax
Yes, sir.
amount is
So
1,200.
9,200
So
will
supply
be.
should be
Option
9,200.
C.
What's the correct entry?
Option C, sir.
Option C. 86. Sales tax is a form of indirect tax.
Sales. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because it is included into the price of the product.
Yes, sir.
Government not charging directly to the person. It's indirect. Mean government not
Yes, sir.
receiving direct from you. Government receiving this amount from
We
the
are
business who is selling goods
for
to
the
you.
customer. Yes, sir.
Even we don't know how much is the tax included in the price. If you buy a bottle of Coca-Cola, it includes amount of tax. The price include amount of tax. How much? We don't know. But we are paying tax on buying a bottle of Coca-Cola. So that's why it is indirect, mean government
Yes, sir.
not charging us directly. It's indirect, mean but through someone else it is paid to the government.
Yes, sir.
So if input tax exceed output tax, the difference is payable to the tax authority or
No,
we need to
sir.
receive from the tax authority?
Sir, we need to receive from the tax
Receive
authorities.
from the tax authority. Sales tax is included in the reported sale and purchase of sales tax registered business. Sale tax is included in the reported sale and purchase. No. Sale and purchase are without a tax figure.
So it's false.
It's false. Sales tax cannot be recovered on some purchases.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there are some purchases like gifts, like there are some item exempted from tax, so we cannot claim tax against those purchases.
Yes, sir.
87. Based upon the following information, what was the cost of purchase? Opening trade payable, cash paid, discount received, goods returned, and closing payable mean we need to open payable account. What's the payable account opening balance? It's 142,600. What's the closing balance? It's 137,800. What's the cash paid entry? Payable debit, cash credit. Payable debit, cash credit. 542,300. There is a discount received from home supplier. So payable debit, discount received, income credit, how much? 3200. And there was good return. If an entry for purchases debit, so purchase return credit, supplier debit against how much? 27,500. Can you check what are the purchases? Purchase debit, payable credit, mean here what's the balance?
Yes, sir. Sir, it's 578,200. 578,200.
578,200.
Yes, sir.
578,200.
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
88. You are given the following information. Receivable opening balance is 10,000. Receivable closing balance is 9,000. Total receipt during the year cash receipt is 85,000. Including 5,000 cash, this means credit received is 80,000. So based upon available information, what was the sale revenue figure? If we open receivable account, opening balance is 10,000. Closing balance is 9,000. We received cash from receivable of 80,000. Cash, debit, receivable, credit. Because 85, in that 85, 5,000 is cash sale. So what's the sale figure? Receivable, debit, sale, credit. So
Yeah.
89,000 minus 10,000,
Sub 79,000.
89,000 minus 10,000, 79,000. What's his
Oh,
total
yes.
receipt during 20x3, including a cash sale of 5,000?
So 79 plus
Now,
84,000.
if we have opened the credit ledger, then the balance should be 79,000. Total receipt during 20x3, including a cash sale of 5,000. So credit sale receipt is 80,000. So based upon information, what was the sales revenue figure? Oh, sales revenue, not the credit sales. So 79,000 is the credit sale figure. So what's
Oh,
the
yes.
cash sale? 79,000 plus 5,000 cash sales, altogether 84,000.
84,000.
Because he didn't ask for credit sale. If he asked for credit sale, then 79,000. If he
Yes,
asked
sir.
for sales revenue figure, sales revenue mean credit plus cash, mean all sale. Is that fine?
Oh, yes, sir.
89. Reed is a sole proprietor whose accounting records are incomplete. All the sales are cash sales, and during the year 50,000 was banked in cash sale. 50,000 has been deposited into bank, including 5,000 from a sale of a business car. The 45,000 for the sale of inventory and 5,000 for the sale of car, mean assets sold. Prepaid 12,000 wages in cash from all the till and withdrew 2,000 per month as drawing. If 2,000 per month for the complete year, it will be 24,000. The cash in the till at the beginning at the end of year was 3,000 and 400 respectively. What was the value of Breed's sales revenue for the year? If the cash opening balance is 300, cash closing balance is 400, we paid into the bank how much? 50,000. We paid into the bank how much? 50,000. Out of this 5,000 related to sale of asset. We need to check how what's the sales revenue figure. And they paid 12,000 wages. So cash credit 12,000.
Oh, yes,
The
sir.
drawing of 2,000 per month. So 24,000 is the drawing.
Yes, sir.
So what's the balance?
So the balance will be
12, 24, 36, 36, 400 minus
yes,
300, 36, 400 or 36, 100.
uh, yes,
You
sir.
know,
Yes, sir. 36, 3600.
and they paid into the bank how much? 50,000. This means cash, credit, bank debit. Okay, add
So
this
50,000.
50,000 as well.
So 30 650 8600.
How much? 36, 86, 400 minus this 300,
86 100.
86, 100, and 86, 100 is the total. 86, 100 is the basic figure. But from this 5,000, we need to deduct for the sale of
Sale
asset.
of, yes, sir.
So the sales
8
revenue will be
81
81,
100.
100. What's option?
Option C.
Option C. Is it fine?
Oh,
Now,
yes, sir.
instead of deducting this, charge here 45,000 instead of 50, because the sale of inventory is 45,000. Sales revenue we're gonna calculate. Okay, 90. The following transaction took place during Ashwini's first month of trading. Credit sale of 121,000 exclusive of tax. Credit purchases of 157, 1110 inclusive of tax. Cash payment to credit supplier of 82, 710 inclusive of sales tax. All transactions are subject to sales tax of 20%. What was the balance on Ashwini's sales tax account at the end of the first month of trading? So this is exclusive of tax 121,000. So 121,000 into 20 by 100 was the 20% of this one.
Oh, yes,
Or
sir.
200.
The-
And this is inclusive of tax 157,110 into 20 by 120.
So it will
One
be
five
20
seven one one ten into
26
20 by
185.
120. It's 26 185.
Oh, yes, sir.
So what's the amount balance?
Sir, amount balance is in negative 1985.
1985.
Yes, sir.
What he asked from us. There are cash payments to supplier. All transactions subject to tax. What was the balance on Ashwini's sales tax account? So this is related to supplier account. If we talk about sales tax account, so this is output tax 24,200. This is input tax 26,185. The cash payment will not come here. So what's the balance? 1985. It's a debit balance or credit balance.
Sir, it's debit. No, sir.
Debit balance. So
Debit
what's the
balance.
option? A or
Sir,
B?
sir, option A.
Option. Because this is not relating to tax account. This is relating to supplier account.
Yes, sir.
You know, 91. Just to confuse, he has added this one. 91.
Okay.
Which of the following statement is correct? Carriage inward and carriage outwards are both accounted for as an expense in the statement of profit and loss account. Both are expenditure. Carriage inward is the
Yeah. Yes, sir.
expenditure on purchases that we charge to cost of sale, and carried outwards is the expenditure on a sale delivery that we charge to operating expenses. So both we charge to P&L. It
Yes,
seems
sir.
fine. Let's see what's the other. Carriage inward and carriage outwards are both accounted for as income. No, these are
No,
not
sir.
income. Carriage inwards is treated
Expense.
as expense. Carriage outward is treated as income.
No, sir.
No. Carriage inward is treated as income. No.
No, sir. So option A
That's the
only.
picture. 92. Jupiter company returned unsatisfactory good to Saturn company. The goods had been sold on credit by Saturn company at $100 plus a sale tax of 20. $100 plus sales tax of 20. What accounting entries are required by Saturn company to record the return of goods? What accounting entries should they record for the return of goods? So
A return.
sale return will be debit
Yes,
with
sir.
100
Option C only is with sale
and the
rate.
sale tax will be debit with the 20 and
Yes,
the
sir.
customer account that we had credited with the complete amount should be that we had debited now it should be credited. So
Option C only. Yes, sir.
option C, yeah, exactly. Just reversal of the entry. 93. So moving to 93, should we take a break?
Oh, yes,
Take a
sir.
break of 20 minutes,
Okay, sir.
then we will cover the remaining.
Oh, yes, sir.
Here I am. Stop the recording.